The sentence was supposed to be a death sentence, but because they could not get, the support they needed to carry it out, they decided to make it life. Omotosho, as of the time he went for a break to come and read the judgment, was still what he had in his hand was a judgment for death sentence. If you see the passion with which he was reading the allegations against Nnamdi Kanu, one, the laborious and tedious way it was going on, he didn't write the judgment. You could tell from his demeanor and his action that this was too much. A lot of mistakes. He couldn't mention his name, he said everything properly. And secondly, when he went back, they had to have another meeting with him. He said, look, I don't think we can carry out the death sentence. And that was why they settled for life.
Alright, depending on your time zone and your location. This is a recent interview with OMOYELE Sowore today. And I want you guys to settle down and watch this video. Credit to Symphony TV for putting up this interview together. In this particular interview, OMOYELE Sowore took out his time to expose a whole lot of hidden secrets, plans and down with MAZI and Nnamdi Kanu that actually did not work out the way they planned it. I should not know open at this video because the video looks somehow lengthy. So let me stop here, watch the video, share your thoughts and your opinion on the comment section after watching the video. A lot of things was said in this video. OMOYELE Sowore did so well to actually grant this particular interview. No man will be a fearless man. He speaks the truth no matter the situation and condition. So listen to him, keep getting to know the folk on this video concerning MAZI and Nnamdi Kanu. Enjoy the rest of the videos. I'll be right back.
You've also been in the forefront lately over the issue of Nnamdi Kanu.
Yes.
And very vocal at that. What was going through your mind or your reaction when Justice James Omotosho was reading that life imprisonment judgment on November 20th?
Nothing. You know why? Because as of November 5, I had explained in a long tweet on my page and on my social media handles exactly what was going to happen on November 20th. Two things were going to happen in November. They were actually supposed to have jailed Nnamdi Kanu on November 10th. But they realized at the last minute that it was Ken Saro-Wiwa's same day that they killed Ken Saro-Wiwa. Second, the sentence was supposed to be a death sentence. But because they could not get, the support they needed to carry it out, they decided to make it life. Omotosho, as of the time he went for a break to come and read the judgment, was still what he had in his hand was a judgment for death sentence. If you see the passion with which he was reading the allegations against Nnamdi Kanu, one, the laborious and tedious way it was going on, he didn't write the judgment. You could tell from his demeanor and his action that this was too much. A lot of mistakes. He couldn't mention his name, he said everything properly. And secondly, when he went back, they had to have another meeting with him. He said, look, I don't think we can carry out the death sentence. And that was why they settled for life. And then they imprisoned him, they settled for life, and took him to Sokoto the next day. The fastest transfer of a prisoner. And it was to send a message to the people on whose behalf he was sentenced to life. Because nobody should deceive you. Nnamdi Kanu's offense has nothing to do with what they read as his charges. Some of those charges are dead. Some of them no longer, some of the laws under which they do not exist. Like the treason charge. You can't charge somebody for treason after 3 years of committing the offense. So they charged him almost 4 or 5 years after he committed the offense. Some of the charges restated had already been struck out. So it was just what they call trial and error. His offense is that he was asking for the breakup of the real estate called Nigeria. And the owners of Nigeria decided that, oh, you don't do that. That's, what is that offense the Christians talk about that is unforgivable it's an offense against the Holy Spirit. this is an offense against a holy oil in Nigeria. That was the reason why Ken Saro-Wiwa was, when you touch that area, they don't waste time, the owners of Nigeria. Then you've touched their economic life, and NAV. They'll kill you immediately.
Have you been able to visit him in Sokoto?
I haven't, but I've had people who have visited and we've been in touch. I'm in touch with him in general, but I've not visited Sokoto yet. But you see what I was telling you when I was planning the protest through Nnamdi Kanu, which I believe also might have led, which I believe was the reason they didn't pronounce death penalty, because that was a lot of attention, and that was why they were upset with me and sent me to Kuje prison for 4 days over that. When we were planning all that, I was calling on all these Eastern governments to speak out. Now they've realized that it's even more burden on them that Nnamdi Kanu was sentenced to death. That's why OT had to fly to Sokoto, maybe on a private jet, to go and visit Nnamdi Kanu. The judge is still going to go there and visit and apologize and confess. It happened to Fela. The judge who sentenced him, when Fela was there, was sent to Maiduguri, Bama prison. The judge drove there from Lagos to go and apologize, wherever he was. Judge is still going to, Tinubu will still visit Nnamdi Kanu in prison. But we told them this was unnecessary. They could have saved themselves embarrassment on November 20th by just charging him of just releasing him unconditionally. Because you could tell, how do you accuse somebody of killing Gulak when you have him in DSS custody? How did he do it? No evidence. The only evidence they have is a radio transmitter and microphone. I was looking for an evidence of, he went to buy a ship of weapons and sent to Nigeria. No, not even a bullet. Just exercise book where he wrote his thoughts, and where a radio transmitter they claim he concealed and brought to Nigeria, and a microphone. That's all.
Why do you think his release is important to Nigeria?
Because Nigeria entered voluntarily into a disease in 1963, and to exit from it and heal itself, you must address the outcome of the Civil War. All of this thing you're saying is the outcome of the 1970 Civil War, and it's part of the reason why you see I'm active on this matter. Is not political. I didn't fight that in that war when it was active, and I don't want to participate in fighting when it is cold. They're still waging a cold war against the Igbo man in Nigeria. I know it. I don't need to go to school to know that. I don't need to have a PhD in philosophy to know that Nigeria has an Igbo problem. But it would be hypocritical on my side to fight and speak on behalf of Palestinians when Israel is shelling them, and forget to fight on behalf of our local Palestinians in the southeast where Nigerian government is shelling them. That would be hypocrisy on my part.
How do you respond to claims that activism is funded by some quarters to create a false sense of opposition?
I'm very happy that people can have opinions about me that they can put out there. That makes them feel good. But if you want to do an activism that is creating a false sense of opposition, go and put your younger brother out there, let them shoot him, and you finish burying him and you continue your activism. Be expelled from the university twice. Let your nose be broken. Let your mother have stroke because they detain you for a long period of time. Let your passport be seized and you can't see your children for 5 years and you have to be with your wife for. Be shot at, let them go after you everywhere you go. So, and then we can all come to a place where we say, we have created another activist who created a false sense of opposition. I'm not trying to be an opposition. See, what people should differentiate between activism, as you call it, and opposition is cyclical in Nigeria. People only oppose the government when they are out of government, when they don't have something to eat. They will oppose the government. I don't belong in that category. And then what happens to activists all over the world is that a narrative is framed to scandalize you, right? And some people will believe it. So when you get to a point as an activist at my level, you don't even respond to that, because then you get distracted responding to what they call hubris. At the end, the person who says, "Oh, you want to create real opposition, so that the ones that are false can pack and go home." So, but I understand that a person respects rights for people to have freedom of opinion, and I cannot tell you that anybody who says that has no right to say what he wants to say. Everybody should have a right to say that. That's the kind of country I'm fighting for, where you have a right to say what you want to say, and you are still free after you have said that.
Let's talk about revolution now.
Yes.
What exactly are you calling Nigerians to revolt against?
If there's anybody who's asking that question about this time, I have nothing to tell them. If Nigeria should be revolting against everything, I hate to say that, but I can't fail to tell you that every country that I've been to outside of Nigeria, and I've been to 31 countries beside Nigeria, and the question I ask myself is, what is wrong with us? And the question the citizens of most countries that I've been to, the moment you introduce yourself to them, that you are a Nigerian, they ask you two questions. One of it is that, where's that footballer? They always have a favorite footballer. JJ Okocha is the most popular that I come across. And the second thing, he says, why are you guys not revolting against your leaders? You have such a great country, but you have foolish leaders, you have crazy leaders. I'm telling you what outsiders tell me. They tell me in South Africa, you go to Ghana, they'll tell you. In fact, some of the reasons why Nigerians are hated abroad, apart from those who are accused of being too nice to their women and their women fall in love with them, because they say Nigerian men are very good in taking care of women. So there's that animosity I'm talking about. But the second reason most Africans hate Nigerians is that they love Nigeria to the point that they can't understand why Nigeria is not a great place. Yes. Because they love your football, they love your culture, they live off of your music, their life is dependent on your movies, their spirituality is controlled by your clerics. Right? And then they will have to wake up and hear that you don't have water, running water. You don't have electricity. They can't travel to your country to go and see. I don't know how many Africans, I'm not saying Europe, I don't know how many Africans are saying, I wish I can go to Nigeria. There's so much about Nigeria. How is it? But they'll tell you, but they said, you can't go there. They'll kidnap you. So Nigeria, if you have a child born abroad, you can ask anybody in diaspora. The only way to get your child to behave properly is to say, I'm taking you to Nigeria. I said, "That's the place. What do you want me to do? I don't want to go to Nigeria. I'll do it." Which other country do you use to threaten your children like that? Your children offend you, like, "I'm taking you to Nigeria." I said, "No, please, daddy. please, 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 please. I don't want to go to Nigeria." And they have never been before. It's just based on what they've heard from their classmates. But good news is that there's something that is not related to government that keeps them going. My son plays soccer and he's focused on Osimhen. He's like, "Daddy, did you see what Osimhen play? I don't even watch soccer that much." But you can't talk to my son about politics. He doesn't want to hear it, because that's the traumatic part of Nigeria that affects him directly. His father is constantly hounded for going, being a citizen of Nigeria. He's aware, but he has found a way to please himself with something Nigerian, which is soccer. Some have adopted Nigerian skit makers, they've adopted movie makers, musicians. People talk about all these young, great musicians. They have fans all over the world. They're doing well. Nigeria has almost replaced the entire musical genre around the world. Afrobeat, or whatever Afro they call it, It's popular everywhere, even in the Nordic region. You go to Norway, you go to Nigeria, Sweden, the concert is filled up. It doesn't matter if it's Burna Boy or Flavor or Davido or Wizkid. But who wants to come to Nigeria to do a concert? Probably not many.
The president has just sent 32 names, in addition to 3 other names he sent as ambassadorial nominees to the Senate for immediate confirmation. And there have been divergent opinions regarding composition of that list. What's your own reaction on the list?
You see, I have a problem with Nigerians. Sometimes we major too much on what should not bother us. Why is anybody upset that Tinubu appointed useless people as ambassadors? You get my point? Because they are all in the same WhatsApp group. What are you upset with that Tinubu appointed Reno Omokre or Panika? Who do you want him to appoint?
Yakub Mahmoud.
Yakub Mahmoud. He's appointing people of his genre. He appointed a guy who helped him rig election. What do you expect? He appointed a guy who helps him with propaganda, telling lies. He appointed a guy who helps him do other things. That is where they pick from their group. So I don't understand the outrage. If it was the Pope that did that, then you can be worried that why did the Pope, appoint a prostitute to head a Catholic mission, right? We can debate that, but we're talking about Tinubu now. So why is everybody upset that Tinubu appointed his people? And who do you expect him to appoint? It has to be people of his own genre, his people of the same characteristics. Yes. The reason why I haven't said anything about it is because sometimes I have to call myself to order when I get overly excited about people appointed. Why do you appoint this person? The question is, why don't you focus on the person who appointed these characters?
All right, the party has just nominated you or elected you as the national chairman of the AAC. Are you likely to allow another person to flag the presidential flag in 2027?
See, a political party has members. The members decide who is going to run in the party. That is why it is the political party that run in elections. Are you getting my point? Not the particular individual. So the political party appoints or elects or nominates a flag bearer to run in national elections. The political party is the one who makes the decision that you are talking about, not me.
But will it be fair for a political party to have the national chairman transmute to the national flag, the presidential flag bearer of the party?
So that's exactly why and where I know you are going, is to make it sound like, the chairman of the party has a constitution that determines who can run even in his own internal election. I am glad that you said the party had an election. And the reason why anybody is concerned about AAC is because AAC is a great party, and I'm happy to hear it. If I ask you, who is the chairman of SDP, I'm sure you don't know.
I know 2 people.
Exactly. If I ask you who's the chairman of AA, you probably don't know. You probably know the chairman of APC, and I guarantee you don't know the chairman of PDP, because there's none.
There are 2 people claiming.
Exactly. So if a party in this time in Nigeria's life can organize itself so well that it can have a rancor-free election, no matter how small the party. There are only 18 political parties in Nigeria. Do you know that? There used to be 80 political parties. AAC was one of them. When it became 18, AAC is still one of them. And AAC doesn't have the kind of problem the party that you claim are major parties have.
Does that have anything to do with the size?
No. Because there are parties that have smaller size that have bigger problems. For instance, the Labour Party is not as big as people think, because in 2019, I had more votes than the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. But so as to rest your concerns is that if you want to run as a candidate in AAC, as a presidential candidate, you better join now so that you can run. Nobody will stop you. But if you are not a member and you think you can bring money to come and buy the presidential slot of the party, too late.